I see my colleague is ready to input here. I will bring up the TV studio.
Yes, I think there was never as much clutter as there is now in this ecstasy of communication, in the orgy we are forced to
Yes.
engage. The prosumer is trying to consume a product to express something about who he is.
So my use of the word myth is important. I define myth in my memo to Prince Charles back in 1987 as a collection of media. So people grab on to brands and products and consumables to enhance their 4 and 5 and 6 stomachs, and whatever they prefer in their TV consumption and their astral consumption, chemical body consumption, chip body consumption, you put that together, it's a collage. And that collage is you. That's your mythic stage. Myth, defined as a collection of media, what you hobble together for your identity is a mythic stage. So what you were describing earlier, how people are buy a little this, buy a little that, and then it becomes quadrophenic. Well, quadrophenia is the imploding part of your mythic stage, or maybe it's your fragmenting part. It's a tactile interplay, fragmenting and imploding at the same time. So I think my way of using myth is a grammatically appropriate way to use it, because we're not saying that something is an illusion, and we're not saying something is real. It is in that state in between. It's like a virus. You know the word virus. Not sure what a virus is. So they define virus as somewhere between substance and virtual. That's interesting that the virus comes in when the Android meme starts. The word virus comes in around 1960 when the Android meme starts. So the myth as I use it is like the word virus. And it's more comprehensive than William Burroughs, who just says language is a virus. Well, your mythic stage contributes to the wealth of the world, because your virus feeds other viruses of other people's mythic stages, and you remain in the digestive process of everybody else and the digestive process of the other 4 stomachs. See, there's the important part. McLuhan says in his review of William Burroughs, back in 1964, he quotes William Burroughs talking about people are eating each other, a naked lunch. But McLuhan says, no, they're eating each other inside each other's intestines and digestive process. But that was limited to the chemical body interaction. When we have the other 5 bodies happening, then that is a mythic process of tactile exchange that has consumer as opposed to consumer. There's the passive absorption of clutter, but there's also the production mania of making clutter. This is the collaboration of making wealth. Everybody's helping to make this abundant wealth I was talking about in the last video. And so prosumer is productive mania, the making of clutter, not only the receiving of clutter. So think of it as a two-way situation.
Yes, but you always said the air and nerve drops heal you from this quadrophenic state.
The stability. We actually stabilize the hydrogen isotope. It's technically H197. And an isotope, by definition, is unstable. Well, our eye cell and the accompanying effects creates a supersugar that stabilizes the H197, which has not ever happened before. And that becomes very exciting, and it does stabilize the users of our product.
Yeah, talking about the prosumer, you always said artists see what's coming and they start showing the hidden ground, the new environment. But now
Effects.
everybody is it's an artist, so it's like everybody somehow is translating this new power, as you called it, the pharaoh power of programming the environment.
Yes, so it's cliche to be an artist in many fields, like a bus driver, an athlete, a broker, a manager of a abandoned Nazi airport. All these roles require so many new situations with everybody's five stomachs interacting that everybody's forced to be on their toes and sort of trying to notice the bigger pattern no matter what they're doing, like the traditional role of the Gutenbergian artist. And so when we say that everybody is forced to be like an artist, they don't have to be an artist. Matter of fact, anybody gets credit for maintaining an ecology in their own profession, their own specialty. So the traditional role of the artist is providing in any environment on this whole situation, which should stabilize you, if you understand it, for coming effects. That requires a new kind of communication, which we have come up with here in Iandon. We have solved the problem of how to be or to retrieve the ecological role of what was called the artist. And it's not being an artist in the traditional way. It's not engaging in creativity for the sake of productive mania. We offer a ecological stabilization with our products, Remag and RNA drops and others. And we also are going to stabilize the world economy with our cold fusion box, or what we call cold play. So we are a stabilizing function in this quadrophenia. That is what's required today, not a stabilizing based on conservative ideology or on an anarchist ideology or non-ideology or leftist or liberal or neoliberal. None of those chemical body nostrums meet the needs. You have to become a new environment to stabilize this situation. And we have come up with this new kind of alchemy that does provide, miraculously, a stabilizing new environment that is required in our time. And I reiterate this, it is quite fantastic what we're doing, and you appreciate it. You seem to be able to see what it's doing, but there is serious blocking by people about it, because they've gotten so used to the destabilized quadrophenic situation. In simple terms, they love change for change's sake, that they're not interested in something that actually could stabilize them. Or at least they're not able to maintain an interest for very long. The quadrophenia sets in and then they lose their focus and they're into responding to where their quadrophenia has taken them, and they've forgotten about the appeal of the stabilizer. So, what is it the Marble Man says? Come and taste the flavor? Or come and where is the flavor?
Come to where the flavor is. Come to
yes.
Mecklenburg County.
Yeah, so we are altering the frequency of the environment, which creates a new kind of flavor process. So yes, we can apply that line. We are saying come to the flavor, but it's not a consumable flavor. It is an environment.
Tonality.
It's a tonality, right?
Yeah.
The tonality that the drops in our products
Come to where the tonality is.
Yeah, come to where the drummers were. Come to where your grandchildren are. The grandchildren got there first. Marlboro Man, I think the Churchill family was the Marlborough family. So there's a heavy British aristocracy embedded in that. And we're going to have to come up with a better image of oligarchy than British sourced. So I guess we would fall back on the idea of the subdini, not the subgenius, but the subdini, which is recognizing Dr. Carolyn Dean and her contribution to the stabilizing process. The gospel of
Eminem.
Eminem. Yeah, how can I adapt Eminem to that? Multiple myths. No. Multiple myths. Mythic
Myths.
Mythic management. Mythic management, that's tetrad management. Mythic management is done through your stomachs. Self-management, co-collaborating management, taking full advantage of your four stomachs and learning how to profit. Well, don't like that word. Learning how to consume and produce with your stomachs. But this sounds like the last tape, so let's try to get into some new talk. Have you got some things that you want to say about the gospel of Marlboro Man?
Yes, because the study of the gospel of Marlboro Man is actually the gospel sung by all media. And
Yes.
I was reading our friend Janine Marchesol.
Janine Marchesol,
Yeah,
York University in Toronto.
her book on Marshall McLuhan. And she says McLuhan's work is distinguished by an interest in the corporeal aspect of communication. He was just as interested in poetry as he was in consciousness, perception, and the cognitive sciences. In fact, aesthetic, rhetorical form, and perception are inseparable in any examination of the media. And I think that's what you are doing when you are explaining all these bodies and all the digestion in the different stomachs of the different bodies. Because
Yes.
we could change the words and we will say you are interested in media, not only the corporeal aspects of communication, but in all the bodies,
Not non-corporeal.
the non-corporeal, and not in consciousness, but in what Ian calls recollected lucidity.
Yes.
And the perception, the archetypes, the myths, the cognitive sciences, and we see how this Pandora box is actually telling us who we really are. For example, how our body really works and how it interacts with the non-physical, which is something we are still learning.
McLuhan emphasized the corporeal, or the sensory matrix, as we came out of the Gutenberg galaxy, which had abstracted people's Western sensibilities into an abstract disregard for the other senses or the other densely embedded parts of the corporate body, the multisensory level. And so as he got ahead of the leading edge and advocated the sensory corporality in media, it was startling to people who were a bit phased behind and were still at an abstract level. So you had this wave created in the 60s of people retrieving the chemical body in its multiple sensory modes. And this was expressed by what McLuhan called the Lourdes, Lourdes, of the Esalen Institute, organized by Michael Murphy out in Big Sur, California. And McLuhan used to mock what was going on there, because McLuhan said the retrieval of the corporeal and the emphasis on it was an effect of the newly discarnate electronic superangelization of one's being. So it's not that McLuhan, as Janine says, is emphasizing the corporeal. He's pointing out that the corporeal is going to be noticed when we go discarnate, when we enhance the tactility. So we'll start noticing all the old sensory modalities and their extensions, and that would be the wealth, the boom in the economy that started with the 60s, where every sense, now a mythic stage, could experience a Baroque spiral of expression. So it's the warning that McLuhan gives about where this would lead. And later, when the android was retrieved in the 90s, people became aware of the corporeal clutter in their multitasking, multi-sensory being and multi-stomach life, though they weren't too aware of the multi-stomach, but they were living it. Then they started to emphasize McLuhan's emphasis on the disservices of this corporeal situation, multiple corporeal. And that left McLuhan stranded in a negative defensive position, because media ecology, as defined by him, that where you would turn off TV would not work anymore. You couldn't turn off the android meme and take it on a being of its own. So that left it for me and my colleagues to come in with the same thing I said 10 minutes ago. Do I have to repeat myself?
We are in a replay.
What I said.
This is all a replay. It has been already recorded.
I'm responding to the past blue perfect of Janine's writing. For people who weren't aware of what the situation was for McLuhan, her book can be startlingly original. For people who thought McLuhan was, I don't know, an old professor of Ed Sullivan or some Bonanza TV shows and Batman. That's one thing that's interesting in remembering McLuhan, is that people don't know how far he went in his work. We have recordings where he's talking about the change in our blood corpuscles,
Wow.
the change in the blood. And that is exactly what ion is about, the change in the blood that we bring in. So here's McLuhan tuning into what ion's going to do. I don't know how he did it, but accidentally, or he anticipated me, as the Harold Bloom tradition says, in the influence of anxiety, the anxiety of influence. There could have been that connection. That's enough.
Yes, Ian always says our power is in our words, in our utterings. And I think that something you are adding in your very special median ecology, as Ian calls it, is the hybrid of not only the hardware media, but also like in the case of studying the new effects of the chemistry with the non-physical, you're also going into the field of medias, and for example how the electric dissolve the gulf, and the effects of media in other aspects that were never considered.
That's right. The let's see what you just said there. Well, could you repeat?
Yes, I said
what you said just a minute ago, about a minute back. What were the words you were saying?
yes, that you are not only studying, for example, the effects of media in society, like McLuhan, but you're going beyond, because you're seeing other effects of media in the electric environment in aspects that were not considered ever, like the
effect on the Gulf.
The effect on the Gulf, and other things that are affecting the environment in a major scale.
Mm. I pointed out, 25 years ago, that the technologies took on a life of their own, and they became the agents of media ecology. And as they communicated among their machinic parts, you could see the tetratic process happening right in front of you in this Android meme. And that is what the McLuhan revival was in the 90s, was the Android meme celebrating McLuhan and using McLuhan's ideas for itself, and not for a promotion of McLuhan or a promotion of chemical body consumption of McLuhan. It was a process where the Android meme looked around and said, well, the best creators and media ecologists in this situation are people like Frank Zappa, Lyndon LaRouche, Mae Brussel, Dr. Beater, Arthur Croker, William Irwin Thompson, Krishnamurti, Cosmic Awareness, of course, Dobbstown, and played it back to itself. And many people, including Janine, got caught up in this enthusiasm for McLuhan and felt the need to explain or clarify it. And so they end up just being appendages of the Android meme, which was going to celebrate it in its own way. Well, little did anybody realize that the actual aspects that the Android meme was celebrating was the ionic aspects of McLuhan, Zappa, and all, and Phineas Wake. The ionic aspects were embedded in these creators' work. And that's what Frank is singing about when he says the return of the son of Monster Magnet. I turned out to be the monster magnet attracting the ionic levels of all these accomplishments in the 20th century. And that just, like a pimple, just had to burst. And it obliterated the Gulf, and the Gulf came forth to speak. And this is the incredible alchemy that leads to this new environment that stabilizes through supersugar in the eye cell. And for the record, supersugar is carbon 122, hydrogen 197, and oxygen 98.5. Again, I said this in the last video, we're struggling here to find a new thing to say, other than Janine is the butt of the day, the one that whose work, unfortunately, we are providing a past blue perfect retrospective on it. And I challenge all the people who've written on McLuhan to become aware of what we're doing here in the actual present. Sorry, I had to get polemical.
No, it's super. I think what you're doing is reopening the Pandora box. That nobody dared to do that, and listen to what nobody wanted to listen or acknowledge, like
right.
The evergreens and the non-physical.
Yeah, this is really important. It traditionally was astrobody realities and entities and phenomena, and I found the best in that world and they were, in retrospect, predicting what I was going to do. And when Ion showed up, it seemed to be a channeled entity at first, but through the years, we realized this Ion thing is capable of creating any kind of environment and communicating through any environment, and does do that. So there's a whole new dimension of the images of the astral body that Ion has brought in. And I challenge those gurus in those worlds, from the Dalai Lama to Alan Steinfeld, and all those in between, David Wilcox, Jay Weidner, don't know if I have some of their names exactly right, to take a look at this and recognize it's not what you think it is. It's not traditional channeling. And then recognize what we've made. So I challenge those in the astral stomach. So I'm challenging the chemical body stomach. That would be the white host. I'm challenging the astral body stomach, those that I just mentioned. I'm challenging the TV body stomach. That would be Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. And I'm challenging the chip body stomach. That would be Bill Gates, Jaron Lanier, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs still around. He's actually hanging out at JW's place. That's a story for all of you. And who else could we name? Whoever got a gig, whatever 15-year-old got a gig on YouTube and is attracting attention. We'll challenge them to look at this situation that we've created here. It's quite exciting.
Yes, and another thing that I think is really amazing is you're not only like a stenographer saying this is the word, this is what
That's
they told
what I
me.
want to talk about. That's what
It's
I
a
want to talk about.
dialogue.
Yes, it's a dialogue, but I wanted to, this is what I was trying to remember. You quoted Ion saying that we have our word power. We can express our sovereignty and our producer mania with the power of our words. Well, what we have to realize today is that the words no longer have tonality stomachs, they have the other body stomachs. The word is made up of the other bodies now, so that you don't have to use your mouth to create new worlds today. You just can type, or whatever other media you use in your mythic stage. So we have a revolution and a mutation and transformation in what the word is. Not diminishing the power of your mouth, but people are communicating and creating with their automobiles, with their selfies, with their stock investments. Everything, it comes under the category, and this is what McLuhan realized, of being a word. So when I asked us to develop our word power, our expressive sovereignty through words, you must include the other environments in word. That's what I wanted to say.